You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Welcome. It is the 11th of May, 2015, and you're listening to Happy Mondays on iCannabis Radio. It is the 11th of May. We're in the studio with Greg Daurer, who is going to talk later on about his recently released book, and of course, intern / producer Ronell. Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Hey, Ronell.
Happy to be here.
Good. Do you mind turning on the speaker so I can hear out here? That'd be awesome. Oh my gosh. I don't know what, I mean, I think everyone's saying this. So school year ends in Denver the first week of June. Somehow, I don't know how, this school year has just flown by.
Wow. One of those years.
One of those years. I feel like, well, they're probably all those years. But I feel like, in particular, this year has, for no apparent reason, just really flown. Just really flown. I mean, I don't know why, but it has, for sure. And, is that banner off too?
Yeah. Banner off.
Hi, there we are.
What school does your kid go to?
My kid goes to a magnet school here in Denver.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not far from our house, and yeah, it's a good little school. It's about
Nice.
350 kids. Nice elementary school, K through 5.
Yeah, my daughter goes to Global Village Academy, and it's like 350 kids
Isn't
per
that nice?
class. It's a nice school, but there's a lot of kids in the
Per
class.
class, did you say?
Yeah, I said there's like 22 in my daughter's class.
It's not bad. I mean, I feel like some of the Stapleton schools promised that they were going to have smaller class sizes, and there's so many kids that they can't promise that any longer. But as long as your kid gets some attention when she needs it. She's a smarty pants, though.
Yeah, she is. That's exactly what she is.
I mean, she has smarts, and she wears pants, is what I meant. That's what she is. Yesterday was Mother's Day. Did you guys?
Happy Mother's Day.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you. It was a happy Mother's Day. Did you guys do anything special for your mothers?
No, my mom takes cash.
That's nice. That's nice. It's very low maintenance. How about you, Greg?
My mother got a rain check for me.
She did.
Yeah,
Perfect.
We're going out. It was just a little too, snowy and wet, so we decided to put it off a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll go out and get a meal sometime upcoming here.
Perfect. Yeah, we had this happens every year. We pretend like it doesn't, but we get one pretty good snowstorm in May. Sometimes it falls on Mother's Day. Last year on Mother's Day, we didn't get a lot of snow, but we got a lot of sleet, and it was wet in the evening before Mother's Day and early in the morning. We got 4 inches of wet snow in Denver. In other places in Colorado, they got a lot more. But it was nice. It was a nice Mother's Day. I've been hearing this backlash against Mother's Day recently. Have you guys heard this? Mother's Day is such a Hallmark holiday, and it's really ridiculous that we have to do this. Have you guys heard or participated in the anti-Mother's Day?
Please tell me who these people are so I can punch them in the face.
Thank you.
I've heard sentiments like that before.
What do you think?
Well, probably is a Hallmark Day. It's probably created by somebody in a greeting card factory, and you reap the benefit of it. So
Right?
Why not?
I mean, I liked Mother's Day before I was a mother.
I'm not gonna. There's a Hallmark aspect of it, but I've also noticed that it's not the same day in other countries. Like this year in May, it was May 10th. Where in South America or in Central America, it's always May 10th.
Interesting.
So like typically it's always May 10th, no matter if it's a Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. May 10th's Mother's Day, and then I sent Happy Mother's Day to my French mom, and she said here in France it's May 31st. And I was like, sorry, Happy Mother's Day. I'll talk to you in 3 weeks.
Right.
But so I don't know necessarily if the Hallmark aspect of it is only, if it was created only by Hallmark aspects, or were there some implications because every single person has a mom day. I don't know, but
I just think it's. I mean, I personally enjoyed my day yesterday. However, I
What'd
really
you
do-
get?
I got this
And this is
a little. This is a little bracelet that has a little running shoe on it.
Oh.
a running shoe
Yeah.
bracelet. Nice.
Get it?
From Pandora?
It is.
Nice.
It is.
You want to know something? I got my mom a Pandora charm too, because I bought her a bracelet, but I didn't buy it immediately because my brothers and sisters took my idea and was buying her charms. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa! Don't do that, because there's only X amount of bracelet.
Right.
Like, I can't have you guys all pouncing on my $35 genius.
Yeah, it is pretty genius, though, I have to say.
It is
I actually,
genius.
I gotta be honest. I asked for it because I had a Pandora bracelet that I broke.
You had a silver one, or like one of the bracelet
It was a
leather one.
It was a leather one.
Like the
it
leather-
was the double leather. It was really cool. Have you ever seen those? It's twisted leather and it goes around your arm twice.
I'm pretty sure my Pandora game's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I've strapped a couple people up with the Pandora bracelet.
Yeah, I
It's-
really like it. So Gavin picked out the shoe, which is so fitting for me.
Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
I'm envious of the idea, because it's like us sucker men. It's like we get a bracelet, then we go back $25, $35, $55 to $65 for charms all the way until they're filled up, and then after we fill them up, it's get another bracelet, $25, $35, $65. It's
It's really
killer.
fun, and I'm not going to do an ad for charm bracelets, but it definitely. I mean, the way that they do charm bracelets now aren't those dangly things that they did a million years ago, and they really are personal to you and what you like to do and who you are, and so yeah, it was cool. And we went out and ate some food, and University of Denver hosted the semifinals of the NCAA lacrosse tournament yesterday, and they kicked Brown University's asses up and down the field for a sweet 90 minutes. It was wonderful. Or 60 minutes. 60 minutes. 90 minutes is too
I
long.
was gonna ask, how does lacrosse? What do they have? Like 3 30-minute halves or something?
No, they
Three
have
30-minute periods.
4 15-minute quarters. I just can't add on Monday afternoon anymore. It's
Well,
over.
this is Happy Mondays. That does equal 90 now.
Just today it does.
Just today.
So we've got some fun stuff going on on the show today. Of course, Greg is here. He's going to talk about, we're used to Greg coming in and doing his cannabis history lesson. Well, believe it or not, there is way more to Greg than being a pot activist and knowing a lot about the hemp movement and those kinds of things. Greg is a very talented and prolific author, and we're going to talk a little bit later about his most recent book. My phone is going to make weird noises. Excuse me. And we also have a special guest. So sometimes people email me and say, "Oh my gosh, I really, 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 really want to be on your show, and here's all this information about me." And I say, "Cool, that'd be great." And this is one of those circumstances in which we are going to have Anthony from Ants Organics, which is located in the Steamboat Springs area, talk in our second spot a little bit about his company and his philosophy on edibles and about growing and those kinds of things. So it should be a fun-filled day today. But I know you guys are wondering. So Ronell's here, Greg's here, I'm here. We're missing Gabe and Jeremy.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Both of them had some things that came up that were pretty important. Nothing drastic or crazy, but
we sent
we
sent them on assignment.
assignment.
We found a fat sack of weed with a little bit of hash, and we sent it to Jeremy for inspection. We want to test quality, good numbers, quality ship,
Right.
birdmanship, and Gabe, he's. Where did we send Gabe? I forgot where we sent Gabe. I think he's on assignment somewhere too. I can't remember exactly where. We'll get the details on that when they come back next week. But he is on assignment. We'll find out what exactly he's researching, and
Yeah.
we'll figure it all out. And we'll update you guys next week.
Awesome. So I have a little bit of fun. There was an article that I'm going to pull up really quickly on Forbes.com entitled, that's not it. There it is. Nope, that's not it either. My goodness, what happened to my article?
You smoked the article.
Maybe
you
I
roll,
did.
Did you roll the article up?
Maybe. I mean, the thing is that it's on my phone,
So,
and so while that would be funny, it's
so
unlikely.
Miss Georgia, if we could get you to smoke, what would you smoke with us? Would you smoke a sativa or an indica with us?
You know, I would probably be more likely to do something more down the middle.
Like a hybrid?
Yeah.
Would you do a dab?
No.
I mean, that would be the easiest way. Like, if you, instead of like sitting down and smoking a joint and sitting there puffing and puffing and puffing and puffing and puffing and another puff from here and then getting high, you might as well just do a dab. One puff, straight to your.
One draw.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
all.
that's probably not going to happen. Just so you know.
I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, you smoked the article, so I was thinking we could possibly get it.
I know that would have been
Dab
cool.
the article.
Yeah,
Right?
totally dabbed the article.
Right?
What's going on?
It was here a second ago. That's how long it takes to do a dab.
Right. All right. So this was in Forbes.com. Feds proposed 50% marijuana tax as a tax cut. Should marijuana businesses pay tax on gross profits or net profits? It sounds like a silly question. After all, virtually every business in every country pays tax on net profits after expenses. But the topsy-turvy rules for marijuana seem to defy logic, and taxes are clearly a big topic these days. Many have suggested that legalizing marijuana would mean huge tax revenues. As more states legalize it, the cash hauls look even more alluring. In Colorado, the governor's office estimated that it would collect $100 million in taxes from the first year of recreational marijuana. In the end, Colorado's 2014 tax haul for recreational marijuana was $44 million, causing some to say Colorado's marijuana money is going up in smoke.
I get it.
Yeah, it's clever, right?
Oh, yeah.
Still, that isn't bad for the first year. Colorado was first to regulate marijuana production and sales, and so governments are watching. Colorado also collected sales tax on medical marijuana and various fees for a total of about $76 million. The taxes were significant, but not all the sales are going through the legal channels. Perhaps it was silly to think that they would. Avenues for cheaper prices in the illegal and medical markets can trump legal recreational sales where tax revenues are highest. So in Colorado, there is an additional tax on recreational marijuana that's not assessed on medical marijuana sales.
Yeah, that's what makes it like, I think it's 30%.
So in Denver, it's 21.15% tax.
Yeah.
And medical marijuana is 7.73.
Okay.
So it's like 3 times
It's 3 times the
the standard sales tax. Okay. In Colorado, legalization has surprised both supporters and critics with a mixture of good and bad. Washington State became the second to legalize recreational marijuana. Oregon and Alaska have followed. With 4 recreational victories, activists are pushing legalization in other states, including California. The tax tally is likely to keep growing, and it's, if not as predicted. In Colorado, there's a 2.9% sales tax. We won't go through the specifics, but it's probably pretty shocking that it can be as high as 27% in the state, depending on all of the local sales tax. Some patients may be reselling 2.9% medical. Let me skip this. So the feds would consider doing potentially a 50% tax to legalize marijuana. So is it worth the trade-off? I mean, I don't know. It feels pretty ridiculous to me.
Nah. Like, I mean, no, because then the black market's gonna thrive. I mean, honestly, I guess there's a pro and con to it. The black market's gonna thrive if the taxes are that high.
Right.
It'll just be like, let's just do it illegally so we don't have to pay the taxes. Then the good part about it is,
I mean, buy illegally.
buy it illegally.
Yeah, buy illegally.
Where the good part of it is, the black market will thrive off that to keep the prices low, because then if you go to the store and it's cheaper and they go get it from Tony, you're probably still going to go to Tony until they bring the price down, whether in tax wise or make the weed less valuable, so you can tax it to where it would be, do you know what I'm saying, to where you're competing with the black markets.
Agreed.
Not
I don't
there.
think the black market has grasped the tourist market. I think when people come here for a green vacation, they're buying in stores, and so they're not the ones who are accessing the black market for the most part. It's people who are here and say, well, gosh, I know this dude. I'm going to go ahead and buy from him. So that's kind of what's going on. But at least they're having a conversation, even if it seems like a silly one. At least there's conversation about what may happen should they choose to do some federal legalization
That's
in
a
our
good
lifetime.
point.
That'd be awesome.
At least there's discussion about that.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to come back with Anthony from Ants Organic.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it on grass. Runongrass.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
The Law Office of Edson, Maton, and Matz provides criminal defense, family law, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running a medical marijuana center, optional premises cultivation operation, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout the state of Colorado. We're focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. WarrenEdson.com. Edson, Maton, and Matz in Denver, 303-831-8188, and in Aspen, 970-948-7183. WarrenEdson.com.
Catch a case on the Mondays? iCannabis Radio has you covered. Happy Mondays with Georgia and Jeremy is back now.
Say, Georgia?
Hi, welcome back.
So, Georgia, can I just throw in something real quick?
Okay.
Coming back to the hemp history lesson here, and what you just said before we went to the commercial break about how at least there's a discussion taking place at the federal level about doing something useful with marijuana. Well, I don't know if taxing it's useful. I guess it is useful. Of course it is. But I just want to point out that today, in 1937, the Marijuana Tax Act was introduced as H.R. 6906 by Representative Doughton of North Carolina.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
78 years ago, they were introducing legislation to ban marijuana or tax. That actually was a tax act,
right,
to make it so expensive that you'd go to prison if you had any.
Yep.
So it's amazing that the federal government is coming back and now saying, well, we're going to have a marijuana tax act, but we want to tax it 50% and you go ahead and smoke it and we'll make some money off of it.
That's right. That's right.
We're not going to put you in prison. We're going to call you tax-paying citizens and pat you on the back.
That's right. Well, we're going to go ahead and call our guest now, Anthony from Ants Organic. And this is always kind of an awkward. You're going to hear a ring. There's a ring. Perfect.
I do.
That's a good thing.
I hear it.
There we go again. Hopefully we pick up.
Hello, you've reached James. Please leave a message.
Well.
We don't leave no messages on Happy Mondays.
I don't. Yeah.
We make our Mondays, not yours.
Yeah, that was this the number? Just to make sure on the very top. Just to make sure, we've had that happen before. Oh.
No, that wasn't it.
Okay, phew. got a little wrong number going on there. That's
That would
better.
have been funny if we brought him on the air.
That would have been
Oh,
awesome. Luckily,
you're on iCannabis Radio.
live
Huh?
on,
What?
yeah. Luckily, people, I mean, myself included, tend to not answer calls whose numbers they don't recognize a little
No,
bit.
he's going to call back and say, I got
Yeah,
a
did I
missed
miss a call
number.
from you? Right? In
Who
the
is
middle,
this?
In the middle of the
This
show.
is iCannabis Radio.
Right?
You're on the air.
Enjoy this Verizon ringback tone while your party is.
Oh yeah, I love these. Ooh, that's brutal. I know, but it's all like it sounds like you're driving in Kansas with the radio on. You know? Can't get a signal.
We're talking about a.
This is Anthony.
Hi, Anthony. This is Georgia from iCannabis Radio. You're live on the air.
How's it going?
Good. So sorry that we're calling a little late. We called some guy named Jim. We had a little juxtapose the numbers just a little bit, and luckily he didn't answer, and we didn't leave him a message. But welcome to the show.
okay.
Can I have my piece of paper? So thank you so much for contacting us, or your people contacting us about being on. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business.
Well, I am an organic cultivator in Oak Creek, Colorado. Just getting started this year. Our facility is just now coming online. Actually, we're still a few months out, but all organic cultivation methods and focusing on the highest quality final product for our consumers and for the least impact on the environment by way of our methods anyway.
So you are going to be a licensed retail wholesale grower. Is that the case?
Yes,
Yeah.
and we also are going to be manufacturing infused products, edibles products, as well as concentrates.
Oh, that's exciting. Why? How did you
Yeah.
get started in this?
Well, I moved to Colorado when I was 18 from New Jersey, which is like a police state for cannabis.
Right?
And even though, I mean, I moved to Colorado to snowboard and to, be in the mountains and get out of New Jersey, but I started growing under the medical program right when it was starting up in like 2008. I know they had it before that, but the dispensaries were just beginning at that time.
Right, that's right.
And so I started growing around then, and back then you could give your products as a caregiver to the dispensaries pretty much over the counter. And
I remember
so
that people would come in with their backpacks, just like they do in California, and you'd look at it and you'd
Yep.
say, "Yeah, I'll buy some of that." Yep.
Exactly. So I had been doing that, so I've been growing for the better part of 10 years, and basically I am an irrigation specialist during the day when there's not snow on the ground up here.
Right.
Focusing on water management for commercial residential properties and basically building irrigation solutions. So I'm constantly working with plants, trees, irrigating, working on soil conditions in a pretty tough climate up here. Downtown 7,500 feet or 6,000. I don't remember exactly, but
It's 5,280 feet.
No, where he is.
Oh, where you
he
are.
is, yeah.
Okay, I was like, wait a minute, downtown here?
No, yeah.
no, yeah, downtown in Denver, yeah. So I guess what I've just been focusing on plant health and growing for a long time, and over the years developed a kind of organic process that I think is very important, and that's what I'm focusing on.
So without giving out any proprietary kinds of information, what are the things that make your product different than anybody else's?
Well, we're focusing on like a probiotic approach by using beneficial microbes and compost teas, organic materials that are not synthetically chelated bottled fertilizers. So
Yes,
we're
please.
kind of focusing on soil conditions and getting that symbiotic process going in the root zone so that our plants can kind of seek out exactly what they want, and we really try to treat each plant as a specimen itself. So, just focusing on each individual plant and using microbial and fungus life to really try to make it the right way.
And all the ingredients and everything that you use inside of it are homemade? They're all coming straight from you guys?
Nope. That's not true, actually. I mean, there's a handful of different products out there that I use as far as the dirt, soil amendments. There's a ton of different companies focusing solely on that side of things.
Okay.
And I think they're doing a better job than what I could do. So I do source things from different places.
So
but
understandable.
definitely,
So you're basically taking like pieces and constructing like your super organic mega bud, kind of.
That's my hope.
Are you going to use
my
that
goal.
term? You can have that, Anthony. You can have super organic mega bud. If you
I like
want
it.
it,
I'm
you
into
can.
it.
Yeah, it's yours. It's a gift.
Could be a strain name.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm just a smoker at heart, and so when scientists like yourself, that's what you sound like to me, come out and say like I'm trying to create like a Frankenstein weed. Frankenstein bud, it's like, well, sign me up because I want to chase this down. I want to I want to break it up with my fingers. I want to taste the whatever you have growing inside of this machine. So I'm just really interested, highly.
Cool. Awesome.
So tell us a little bit. So you're gonna do some concentrates and some edibles too. What's your line gonna
Right.
look like?
Well, the edibles thing we're not focusing on right away. So as far as that's concerned, I don't have a kitchen just yet in the facility I'm building right now. So I'm focusing on both solventless and butane hash oil extraction. So we're going to be running the full line of the butane products and hopefully working with some edibles companies who can use our raw material. Because just like I don't make necessarily the best nutrients, I'm not a baker. I'm going to focus on the raw material.
Sure.
With the focus on an organic process to let the other experts do that while we're hopefully growing into that. One thing we are working on is some cool pre-rolls that are glueless, no adhesive, and I can't really say much more about it than that, to be honest, until I have something.
Okay, well, we searched your website. We looked at it. Nice website. I see you have going. We also saw that you guys weren't quite up yet. Your facility was out springtime.
Right.
At the beginning, you said you're out a couple months. What is real time that me as a consumer would physically touch something that you've put?
Yeah. When do you think you're gonna be up and running and maybe on a shelf somewhere?
The end of the summer.
The end of the summer. So you'd say late August, September?
Yeah. I mean, it's everything in the construction world I'm learning takes 30% longer and 30% more money. So
yeah, you got to do diligence.
We're getting there, and our facility is amazing, and I'm watching it grow every day. They're building the foundation right now, and it's being worked on elsewhere because we're building it as a modular, so we're going to bring it all together in pieces, and it's going to be really awesome. So we've got some cool technology in there too, some kind of alternative lighting and really highly efficient environmental control. So we think by using this lighting that uses less watts and a cooling system that's also more efficient, we can start to create less of an impact on the grid also indoors, and hopefully offset it with solar power. And then, in the coming year is the plan.
That's really exciting. Do you have relationships with stores? Do you know where you're going to be? Have you not developed this?
Nope.
Okay.
How many different?
We're working on that. I mean, we've talked to a lot of different people in the industry. It's really hard to come up with those types of things when you don't have any products. Unfortunately, we could show our facility design and all the cool things we're doing. It's really hard to get those types of relationships going without anything physical in your hands. But definitely we're talking to people, and hopefully as the facility becomes more tangible and real in the next month or so, we'll be able to start focusing on that more because, like I said, we're getting closer.
Yeah. That's exciting.
So how many strains do you think you're going to have at the end of the summer? And what is that website of yours?
Our website is www.antsorganic.com. We're adding content to it every week. There's a blog on there. We're kind of developing that as we go forward here. And as far as strands are considered, we're talking to a few different people, some seed companies. We hope to be having around 20 in the beginning. We'll see how that all works out. I'm not a breeder, but there's some really exciting breeders out there that we're looking forward to working with.
Yeah.
And we're getting closer to that point for sure.
That's awesome. You know what? So keep us in mind when you have some information about what's going on next, and we'll be happy to have you come back and tell everybody about your progress and when you start planting and all that kind of stuff. We'd love to keep up with you.
Alrighty, thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you so much for being on, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Have a good night.
All right, thank you. Yep, you too. Bye.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Greg Daurer. Sorry about that. It was a little weird break. Wait, mic's back on. Cool. Little technical difficulties, but you know what? Sometimes a moment of silence is really what you need. Just, that background noise all the time. So Greg, welcome back. You haven't been on in several months.
Georgia. It has been several months, and there was a reason for that,
Yes.
that I haven't been on for several months.
Yeah, talk about it.
Well, it's because I wanted to get my book out, and I figured if I didn't just focus on that, I would never get it done. So it was released March 20th on Amazon.com. It's an ebook. It's a novel. It's called A Western Capitol Hill. And Ronell, when you get a chance, maybe a little later, I've got the cover on the computer there. You could just bring it up to show the folks. Should be right in the center of the screen.
On the desktop.
Yeah. Oh, we gotta
There's a lot.
take everything
That's right.
down.
But go ahead.
What is it called?
It's called A Western Capitol Hill, and that's what it should say on there by Gregory Daurer.
So,
Yeah.
so before we start talking about
Yes.
the content of the book, how and why did you start writing this book?
Well, I wrote this book because I decided it was time to write a novel in my life, and I assisted a good friend with editing his book, and I took inspiration from that and saw how he did it, how he put things together, and decided that I was going to do it myself. My sixth grade teacher told me I was going to be a writer, and I've always wanted to be a writer. I think at that time in sixth grade, I wanted to be a rock star, but she said, no, you're going to be a writer. But I've been a singer-songwriter as well, so I've mixed that together.
Sure.
I do my singer-songwriter under the name Gregory Ego, and I'm also doing some kind of electronic music stuff with a friend. It's called Reverend Leadpipe and his Pipe-Wielding Swingers. So there's those two projects. They're on Bandcamp. If you want to click back and listen to the names of them again, and then research that on Bandcamp, you can certainly find it.
Can I pause you right quick?
Yes, go right ahead.
Reverend Leadpipe.
Absolutely.
That's amazing, yo. I could have never thought of that. Like there's no way I would have ever came up with Reverend Leadpipe. I could have had a lead pipe in my hand at church, and I still wouldn't have managed to pull
Right.
that one off.
Is that up? Is that up on the screen? Is that up on the? Did you put it in the? When you put it in a
It
window,
kind of has a blues
then-
sound to me, like
and then that goes over us.
like Reverend Gary Davis or
Just like how you do-
Lead Belly.
Just like how you do us.
So,
camera, do that.
but it's not quite the blues. It's not quite 2 feet in the blues.
You know what we can do? The other thing we can do, if that's hard, is I've got it pulled up on my phone.
I have it.
You got it?
right
Okay.
here.
All right.
There we go.
Well, that's the cover.
There we are. Yep, perfect.
A Western Capitol Hill by Gregory Daurer.
So Capitol Hill
Yes.
in lots of cities is a neighborhood. It's a neighborhood.
There are a few cities that have Capitol Hills, but yes, this is set in Denver. This is set in Denver in the neighborhood of Capitol Hill, and it's set at the Capitol itself. And it involves a bill at the state capitol introduced by a religious right legislator from Colorado Springs. And it's a controversial bill, so it's opposed by a transgender real estate broker on Capitol Hill. And both of them in their circles have a lobbyist that they hire. So there's a couple lobbyists working against each other as well. Now,
That's always
furthermore, there's some magical realism type elements. There's a dragon called the Denver Dragon, hence the dragon on the cover of the book. This Denver Dragon was birthed during the first gold strike in Denver, and it kind of took on massive proportions over the years as Denver accumulated greed and poisonous industries, and
Nice.
and the not nice elements of a city.
Yeah.
Is there historical truths in it? That's like what book would I think of? This Dragon Slayer or the Vampire Slayer of Abe Lincoln. You know how like it had like the historical truths in it, that it was fictional. Do you carry some of those historical truths from the Colorado history?
There are some historical truths. I have beginning of the book called the train intro, because the trains play a big part in the story. They're kind of like a Greek chorus. They signify what's been stated at the end of chapters. And of course, the trains are an integral part of Denver's history. If it really hadn't been for trains, Denver wouldn't have reached the size that it had. I'll be reading like one or two little pieces, but since you brought that up, let me just find the section, train intro.
Camera, thanks. Perfect.
I'll just read a couple parts of this because I don't want to read the whole thing. The homesteaders who moved to Denver in the late 19th century heard the trains too. So did the coots and hustlers as they boiled their coffee broth on the stove each yonder morn. Train'll soon be unloading a new crop of sporting women and fresh marks, they enthused. So did the prairie dogs with ears perked, standing up on their rodent hind legs beside their burrowed holes, making themselves easy headshot targets for rifles gripped in expansionist hands. Denver prospered because of trains. Really, why else would the migration have continued to this scenic, yet in many regards, inhospitable locale after the initial gold strike petered out? The mile-high city made its mark as a mercantile hub due to railway transit, not because it was on any negotiable river or coastal waterway. Within 20 years of the first train arriving in 1870, Denver's population increased from under 5,000 people to over 100,000.
Wow.
Denver was, for its era, a metropolitan freak of nature, a fluke of the Industrial Revolution, a dusty port on the high plains at the ass end of the short-grass prairie land.
Nice.
So that's a little bit of the historical record injected into my tale.
And it's literally repeating itself with the airport.
Absolutely. The airport plays into the story as well.
It's, I love Colorado. It's one of my favorite places. I've been here my whole life. How you say it, if how you use the historical accuracy, it's repeating itself over again,
Right.
where our population literally has doubled in almost 20-30% in 4 years due to
I have a
an
character
airport.
that points that out as he's driving on his way to the airport, past the Carniceria on Brighton Boulevard and the VW repair shop, and thinking about, how much Denver's changed. Of course, that whole area has changed since this book. This book is set about 2007. But, he gets out to the airport and talks again about how many people have come into the state due to the airport. and talk about some of the weird stuff at the airport, some of the legends and rumors and mythology about it, the weird art, the Masonic cornerstone that has a weird airport agency's name on it, the legends about underground trains that, who knows, maybe they go all the way to the military-industrial complex in Colorado Springs where this guy came up from.
Interesting.
In his car.
So do you have another piece you want to read?
I do, since this is iCannabis Radio, and this is set in Denver, mid-2000s, let's say. What would it be? How can you have a Denver tale and not include marijuana?
You can't.
So
not anymore.
I've created a governor. These are not really based on real people. I've taken aspects of different people and made new characters out of them. So this is not an actual governor, but his name is Governor Emil Gutierrez. And it says, Gutierrez has the reputation of being a governor who understands farmers. For instance, he understands the needs of corn growers. They want to see everything from high fructose corn syrup to building materials to automobile fuel made out of corn. Ask him, though, what plant he'd defoliate out of existence with Agent Orange, and he'll quickly reply, marijuana, reefer, mota, as it's referred to in the south of the border parlance of some of his vagabond uncles. It incenses Gutierrez when a crowd of 1,200 gathers outside the Capitol, smoking pot openly as they listen to bands and speakers. They're mostly underage kids, too, and no arrests are made. No Denver police, at least in uniform, are even in sight. If the police had been there as a visible presence, they'd have to arrest someone, right? Well, you'd think so. Denver voters may have legalized marijuana possession at the ballot box, but police still write tickets under the state law. Obviously, the beat cops have been ordered to stay away from the, quote, hemp rally, unquote. A tall, bulky guy with a bushy beard and thinning hair screams into a microphone on the Capitol steps. His voice thunders from a huge public address system, echoing all the way downtown. Governor Gutierrez, he yells, assaulting the mic with his lungs, spittle flying. Take back your unfreedom-like stance against the hemp plant. Laws against cannabis were first passed back in the 1930s due to racism against Mexicans. One newspaper editor in southern Colorado even wrote the following: I wish I could show you what a small marijuana cigarette can do to one of our degenerate Spanish-speaking residents. That's why our problem is so great. The greatest percentage of our population is composed of Spanish-speaking persons, most of whom are low mentally because of social and racial conditions. As a Mexican-American, Governor Gutierrez, you ought to be ashamed of yourself to still be enforcing laws against marijuana. Boo! Howls a segment of the crowd, which is apropos since boo was also at one time a slang term for marijuana. Following the speaker, a creepy amalgamation of musicians begins a death metal version of Black Sabbath's song Sweet Leaf. Among the throngs of underage tokers wanders Philly Gutierrez, the governor's 14-year-old son. A black ski mask with holes for the eyes and mouth obscures most of his face. He raises it up to his forehead, though, in order to puff on a spliff the size of a submarine sandwich that's being hoisted and passed around the crowd. A hidden video camera records the moment.
Uh-oh.
So you can see what that's going to lead to, some conflict.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. So you came up with this idea. You had a desire to write a novel.
That's correct.
Felt like it was a calling for you.
Absolutely.
How did you come up with the story?
Well, that's a good question. I wanted to write about Denver. I wanted to make Denver almost like a character that you would see in a novel, just like any other character. The city had to be a character. And years ago, early 90s, I was working for a music magazine out here, and there was a gentleman who worked there as well, and he was on some psych meds, and he had perhaps some issues, and he told me that there's a dragon that hovers above Denver, and it was built on all the greed and avarice and lust and terrifying things the city had accumulated, and that always stuck with me. So that became
So
one
did
of
you
my
buy
first
like something that he
characters.
was doing? You was like, wait a minute, give me some, and saw the Dragon 2 and was like, gotta write about it. I got it. I know what you're talking about.
I didn't want anything of what he was taking.
Okay.
frankly.
Okay.
I think it sounds like pharmaceuticals.
Absolutely, that's what it was. It was some psych meds, is what I'm implying.
Yeah.
So I came up with that character, and the other characters just came out of that and
Neat.
put them together, set them in motion. Stephen King has said you just come up with some characters, set them in motion, and they almost dictate where you're going to go. I realized that was the case for me, at least, when I wrote this tale, because they just took me places I didn't expect. And most of my characters at the very end disappoint me. So that's how I knew they had a life of their own.
Yeah.
I wasn't directing them to disappoint me, or maybe my expectation is disappointment, but I had a good time that they disappointed me.
Greg, you have to set higher expectations for your characters. Jeez.
Oh, well,
You know?
I love my characters.
Well, I know. I mean, like, I guess if they're disappointed by you, I guess that means you're still building on them, and you still probably got a sequel in
I don't
mind or
mean
something
I'm
behind.
disappointed in them. I mean, they do actions that I were like, oh, gosh, really? You went ahead and did that?
Oh,
Don't
so
know
like your
better.
children. So like your children. You're like,
They're like my
you
children.
oh man, you just spilled it. We just talked about this. We just totally talked about. You know how
Because
I know?
of Mother's Day.
Because I just created you, and we talked about that.
I know. I say that's a line that I say all the time. We just had a conversation about this.
Oh, I mean, I guess being a parent, I think that's the biggest thing. Like they do something, you talk about it, they do it again to make sure what you said is a
Right.
fact, and then we don't deal with this for a while.
Right.
It might come back up, you know. You know how like they like to recycle problems.
That's right. That's right. All right. Do you have another excerpt for us, or are you done with the excerpts?
Well, I could read another excerpt.
that'd be
sure.
awesome.
Let's see what we got here.
Should we skip this next break?
Okay.
I mean, do you have it? Do you think it'll work or no?
Keep going.
Okay.
Well, I'll find another part that
while you-
deals somewhat. Go ahead.
While you're doing that, so people can download it on Amazon.com.
That's right. A Western Capitol Hill.
It's $4 and some change.
Yeah, it's $4.99.
Yep.
Yeah, and I encourage people to do just that because it's an entertaining tale. It's got some darkness to it. It's darkly comedic, but it's funny. I mean, I laugh like hell writing it.
So for young writers
Yes.
or people who are trying to get in or get published,
Yes.
what process did you take, and what notes can you give somebody who's writing a book and would like to get it out to the world? What notes and tips would you give somebody into getting their stuff out or getting published and making a couple of pennies off their work?
Well, let's see. I would encourage people to write. That's the first thing. You've got to train yourself to write. And when I was in high school, I did free writing because of a great high school teacher I had. Then in college, I did freelance journalism, and it's something I've been doing since around 1988 or so. So I've written articles, I've interviewed people who influenced me. So I've spoken with writers about what they do. That's a great thing to do, is to talk to somebody else who's a writer, have kind of a mentorship. These were people I admired from a distance, so it was just great to talk to them face to face. And one of them, at least, has given me feedback recently, well, a few years ago when I was just putting some of the final touches on this. Stick with it. This book, I wrote it from between like 2004 and 2007. And I've revised it and revised it and revised it since. And then I sent it off to agents and agents and agents and publishing companies. And I got rejected and rejected and rejected. But you have to keep going through the rejection. And luckily today, if you're that motivated, you can do it yourself. DIY approach and publish it on something like Amazon.com. Doesn't mean you can't do it without having a great cover artwork like my friend Larry Hubble did for this novel. You can't do it without really good editing. You have to have somebody edit it other than just yourself, although you'll be doing that as well yourself. But the world's open in order to do something like that.
What about so after you now you got the book, you got it,
Yes.
you can sell it. What about promotions? Where do you build, and what would you do to push kind of your boat into the ocean to kind of get a good variety of folks?
Well,
to
I'm
touch your
still working on that, but one of the things I would suggest is come on iCannabis Radio. If there's anything about cannabis in your book at all, like mine, it's not the central focus of my book. But no, I'm trying to reach out to as many press outlets as I can. I know people in the media. So I'm working that right now, and I'm taking the steps that you need to online. I've got my own website, westerncapitalhill.com. I'm setting up at this point, my pages. They're author pages on a couple big sites like Amazon, as well as Goodreads. So it'll have some background about me. A lot of people who love writing stumble across things, or a friend will turn them on to a writer. So I'm hoping that will happen as well. My friends will say, this is somebody you have to read.
And then a couple more questions. Is there a possibility to get the hardcover? I mean, the hard copy?
Not yet.
Okay.
Because I'm just doing it as an ebook.
Okay.
Because
a whole different
there were
publishing volume.
expenses involved in this.
Understandable. I mean,
right now, with the cover and editing and sending it off to be formatted, I've accrued a little bit of debt. Nothing terrible, but because I love to get this out there. But I know that eventually this will be in paperback form, if not hardcover.
Say you're talking to a stoner, like for me, I could roll a joint.
At least
like
by
the rest of-
2020. Imagine Denver 2020. That's what the city's promoting in terms of the arts. So
Nice.
by 2020.
And do you have a website that we can?
westerncapitalhill.com.
Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
Great. All right. At the end of our show, do you want to read your last?
Okay, I'll try to go
Yeah.
through this fairly
You
quickly.
don't have to rush.
Winston, this is the character who sees the dragon, and he's on psych meds and occasionally medical marijuana to control some of his delusions. Winston's caseworker examines the dusty hovel. Winston, I'm saying this as a friend, not as your caseworker. Why don't you get out of this dingy apartment? It's dirty, moldy. It's holding you back socially. You need to reach out. Spend more time with people. How long have you been here? 15 years. The social worker wouldn't mind a refill of coffee, but Winston isn't budging from his chair. The social worker sets his cups down on his plate with a clink and says, "Change is sorely needed, my friend." Winston wears a pained expression. "This is just about the cheapest place out there. There isn't anything lower than $5.50 a month for a one-bedroom place. I'm making it here, and when I'm not making it, the owner and I usually work something out." Winston turns his head away, looking out the window, not inviting further discussion on the topic. On a couple of occasions when his dire circumstances coincided with the fall harvest, Winston trimmed marijuana buds for a few dollars. It helped him to pay his rent, and it allowed him to buy Christmas presents for his sister and her kids. The marijuana would arrive in garbage bags from a cornfield. Gail Interlochen paid a farmer to look the other way while her people grew a half acre. She sold 9/10 of the load, donating the remaining 10% to a local medical marijuana co-op, a homey little space with a couple dozen different varieties of weed, hash, baked cannabis products, and tinctures. It's where Winston buys a gram or two when he can afford it. The sign on the door says, "No shoes, no sutures, no service." After Gail delivered the cash to the farmer in a couple of King Shoppers paper grocery bags, he smiled expansively. He still suspected that transsexualism might be something akin to devil worship, yet he'd grown fond of Gail. "You know, Gail, I hate the sin, but I love you to pieces. You're my favorite tenant farmer." "Are we going to do this again next year?" Gail asked Farmer Cornell. "Why don't you just buy my property so I don't have to be involved anymore?" "Why would you want to sell?" Farmer Cornell sighs and massages his huge arthritic hands. "Son's not going to take over. Can't make it as a farmer anymore, as a small-timer. Big agribusiness runs the show these days." "What would you want for it?" "A cool $1 million. "Well, that's going to take more capital than I can amass at present. How about one more harvest and then we'll talk again? The following October, they set about negotiating a price. I don't know, says Gail, shaking her head dubiously. $1 million seems a little too much. Besides, your spread's on the east side of the highway. People want to feel like they're closer to the mountains. There's less of a resale value on property over here. Farmer Cornell looks like he's on the verge of tears. Never thought someone would want to turn my family farm into a planned community. I was hoping you'd just keep growing pot on it. New sheriff, less amenable to bribes. Besides, turning the back 40 into, let's call it Del Spring Acres, would be much more profitable. Gail knows from studying a satellite photo that Colorado's Front Range has been filling up with housing developments like acne on a zit-prone teenager's face. For his part, Winston remembers the small basement with a large gray table under an exposed light bulb, windows taped over, claustrophobic. On the table rested a mound of marijuana in its raw state, still on the stalk, cured haphazardly. Each member of the crew took sections of the plant and began to manicure it. They cut the buds off the stalk, trimmed the excess leaves that covered the tightly compacted, resin-packed flowers oozing THC and a myriad of other heady chemicals. They formed piles of finished product, something that had been transformed from looking like a long hair, or a gun-toting redneck for that matter, into a dangerously muscular buzz-cut Marine. Strong stuff. Periodically, they stopped to clean the sticky resin off their scissors, saving those high-potency scrapings to smoke later. One of the crew put a handful of marijuana trimmings into a bottle of grain alcohol, making a tincture out of it. The Green Dragon, he called it. He liked to drip a bit into a water-filled shot glass and drink it before going to bed for pleasant dreams and a good night's rest.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Greg, thank you so much. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you for having me on the show.
A Western Capitol Hill.
Western Capitol Hill. It's out now.
On Amazon.com.
Thank
Gregory
you.
Daurer. Check him out on westerncapitolhill.com as well. I want to thank Anthony from Ants Organic as well. It's been big fun. Thank you guys so much, and we'll be back next week.
Very good.